Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about Heteropteryx dilatata, which is also known as the jungle nymph. These are a Malaysian stick insect, a Malaysian phasmid, which are classified as a stick insect. They're the heaviest stick insect and one of the heaviest phasmids in the world. Alright, these are a very interesting phasmid. They're nocturnal. The females and the males differ hugely in their coloration and size. The females are the much larger. They tend to be a emerald green. However, they can be yellow, and much rarer, they can be a red-brown. The males are then a few centimeters to a few inches smaller. They actually are brown with maroon striping. They also grow much larger wings, where the females have two sets of shortened wings, which we'll get into in a minute, and the males have two large wings that cover the span of their entire body when they mature. Right, as you can see, I've got 3 jungle nymphs here. I've got 1 female to 2 males. Oh, don't like me moving around too much. Yeah, so these species generally live around 2 years after they've molted into a juvenile stage, which doesn't take too long. Like I say, they're the heaviest phasmid. You can't necessarily feel that. However, these thick things are about 500 grams at the moment. They also hold the record for the largest egg laid by an insect. So we have a mature male here who's recently matured. He's still recovering. He's had not the best molt, as you can see by the state of his wings. We also have juvenile male on my arm, and then our very beautiful juvenile female. Now, females, when they do their ultimate molt, they do grow wings. However, instead of covering the whole body, such as this one, they just cover a thick area here. When they cover this area here with 2 wings, they can click them together very fast to create a loud noise when they feel threatened. This species may do the same. However, the males, if they feel threatened, clamp with their thorns. This one's not doing it now. Okay. Just take the benefit of that. Right. As you can see, these stick insects are covered in thorns. The female particularly has much worse. Males are okay to handle without gloves. However, females should be taken with extreme care, as when they do their defensive grab, it can draw blood, most definitely. As you can see here on our unmature female, the thorns are very large. Now, obviously they have thorns because they eat a diet of bramble. Most of these species are content with eating most brambles: oak, ivory, rose, hawthorn. They're just a few of what you can feed them, which is very easy if you're in England. They need a plethora of these roses and thorns, as they use it not only to climb but to eat the leaves. You don't have to worry about them hurting themselves on the thorns. Now, these species require lots of nutrients as they are herbivore, so you should replace these brambles weekly as they perish, or if you keep them alive longer, as soon as they start to wilt. I'd recommend that you place the base of your bramble where you've cut it in tin foil that's wet or in a cup that's wet. Okay. So as you can see, they're starting to move around a little bit more. They often wiggle, which is quite cute, which is them sort of trying to gain balance, as you can see back here with the female. So, how do we keep the jungle nymph? Well, the jungle nymph require 2 times their length and width, as well as 3 times their height. They need 3 times their height so that they can successfully molt. They need 2 times in their width, so they have just general moving around. However, I would advise that you do have a little bit more than that if you're keeping a communal like I am. Now, these animals are fine to keep communal. They live in communals in the wild. Obviously, if you're looking for different things, if you're looking for more good looks, then you probably want to keep more females. If you're looking for breeding, then I would suggest keeping 2 males to a female in that ratio onwards. Yeah, so generally you'd want 12 by 12 by 18 inches, with 18 being the height. That's 30, 45 centimetres. So the one that I've got my hand on now is about 60 centimetres high by 30 wide. So it's more than enough for the 3 of them. Now, not only do you want all of your brambles in there, you can also, well, it's optional, you can decorate it. Decorations that are arboreal, so that they can use it to climb. Now, these jungle nymphs, they do best in glass and they do best in acrylic. They can be in mesh, however, this is more on you that it's a problem because they require 70% humidity to thrive, which is a lot harder to achieve in mesh. So that makes glass and acrylic much more feasible. They obviously require some ventilation. Now, I'd recommend that these animals are kept slightly above your room temperature at around 24 to 72 degrees. They don't need themselves a heat mat, I wouldn't recommend. I would just attempt to create an abundance of heat in the room. For instance, these guys have plenty of heat coming from down below where I've got my leopard geckos closed. You can monitor the moisture and the heat through tabs, but you don't need to do this. You can see as long as it mists at night when they're nocturnal, and they move around at night, you mist before you go to sleep. You'll hear them moving throughout the night because they can be a loud species, and in the morning you leave them undisturbed. The tank will heat up, frog up, and leave through the ventilation, and you do the same the next night. Okay, so obviously if you're going to be holding your insects like I am, you have to be in mind with the stress. They're a little bit stressed out now because these aren't an animal that I particularly get out to hold much. I would never recommend holding the female, as I said before, unless you're wearing gloves, as you cannot predict when they'll squeeze and grab, as well as just their general climbing being a bit of a pain. These are a fun and easy species to look after. They're very active at night. They move a lot, and they're very attractive, as you can see. Can you see this one on my arm here? Brilliant. Yeah, so that's it basically. These are an easy species that you keep at normal temperature that you would keep most other invertebrates. Obviously, you keep them in a arboreal that you keep much other invertebrates. I must say, if you are attempting to breed, you should, well, anyway, you should have around 2 inches of depth of substrate in your enclosure, just because it helps you maintain the humidity. However, if you have females and males and you're intending to look at breeding, then what you should do is you should do about 3 to 4 so that the females can go and lay when they're mature. Now, these eggs take around 7 to 14 months to hatch, but plenty of records go up to 18 months to hatch, which is incredible, knowing that they actually only live about 2.5 to 3 years generally anyway. So, thank you for watching. This is just a quick and easy video showing a quick and simple species. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Please comment what species I should do next. Cheers.